All right, so today we're going to be talking about whether or not you should be pulling for Robin Summeretto later today. And truthfully, this is a little bit of I don't want to say necessarily controversial topic, but more of a somewhat difficult discussion. Because we have other characters, keep in mind whether or not you have them at E1 or not, who are in contention for substitute options. And it's difficult, to say the least. And so what I mean by this is whether you have Mortonic's Blade, or even if you have an E1 Triby, as this is where mainly the online discourse that I have seen in not only Reddit but also Twitter and X, just randomly. My algorithm now is to that point where I will see these conversations randomly on Twitter, but people saying to skip Robin because she is quote unquote mid, and I'm here to tell you she's not mid. Now, what exactly would Robin provide to an account, whether or not you have these other two characters or not? So we need to look at it from a standpoint of endgame content. And I know a lot of people like to pull for characters they play the game casually. That's fine. I'm not talking to you specifically right now. What I'm talking to is the players who want to further increase their ability to zero cycle or just clear endgame content for the most part. And we need 3 separate teams. Now, granted, the buffs and the shills vary patch per patch. It is what it is. But what having 3 god tier supporting characters does for an account, it allows more flexibility in other team building options. Let's take these 3 teams for example, right? Robin right here, let's have her on a remembrance centric team. We'll take Cyrene out and we will put the other beautiful pink-haired ladies in on that specific team. Now, Mortonic's Blade, we can put a follow-up attack engine in here. Obviously, we have these characters right here, and then after this, I'm blanking. Where are you? I mean, we can just put like a husbando style esque team in here and it will function extremely beautifully. I'm now missing the lady of the group. Where are you? There you are. We can use this team as an example, or right, you can just swap right here. So this frees up Robin, and let's say you want to run a Himiko Nova team, just as example, right? If you don't have the characters, don't worry, this is just examples. This frees up 3 team options for you to use, all having a god tier support on each individual team, allowing the main DPS or sub DPS to do monstrous amounts of overall damage. That's what I mean when I'm talking about whether or not it is smart to pull a said character or not. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. I kind of know that, and I kind of know my account. I just want the hard truth, right? What would be better for my own individual account? Well, outside of that standpoint and thinking when it comes to the team building options, let's also look at it from an ease of build use, right? These characters right here are very good. Light cone kind of required, light cone required. And dupes, especially E1 on this young lady, is very mandatory in order to get her to that complete god tier capabilities. Mortonic's Blade, you don't really necessarily need that, so that is very good for him. Light cone is kind of like somewhat necessary. Robin, on the other hand, is actually a character where if you just get her without the light cone, without dupes, you're rocking. You can just slap the Herta Shop light cone for the remembrance path on her, and you're sitting pretty. You're going to be able to do pretty much everything, honestly. Her light cone is one of the rare ones for like a supporting style character where I actually recommend people skip to save your Stellar Jades for. Now, going into the pull aspect, again, if you have 3 teams with both of these characters right here on your account, then you can skip Robin. I'm not telling you to pull her. Do I think Robin will be a great supporting style character as time continues? Absolutely. But for the time being, if you're short on Stellar Jades or whatever, you don't want to spend money, whatever the case may be, you can skip her if you have an E1 Tribby with Mortonix Blade. Now, for people who want to pull for her, what are characters that she is going to be working with in order to allow them to do more damage? Well, the aforementioned Remembrance team is something that very much comes to mind. I am very excited to test this theory and team building process out, whether or not the team metaphorically loses a DPS character, whether or not Castris is kicked off the team, Evernight is kicked off the team, Cyrene is kicked off the team. Obviously these are hypotheticals, but I'm interested to see how the min-maxing process of the Remembrance team comes into effect with the introduction of Robin. Another character that I think will be pretty good for the average player, not someone who spends quite a bit, will be Himiko Nova. Now, does Robin provide any benefit to Himiko with Astral Express part or tag? No, she's not an Astral Express member. However, she provides so much more to Himiko, where you are just going to be able to fully embrace and experience a very, very good Himiko Nova team. You can honestly, realistically, just have her as your supporting style character, have like an E4 Welt if you want, Mortonix Blade, and you're sitting pretty for like an E2 hypothetical situation. But if you are an E0S1 enjoyer, then I definitely think Robin paired up with her brother and Don Hung PT with Himiko Nova is going to be very, very fun and very good. Other options would honestly include Anoxa paired up with another Erudition character. Most likely in this scenario would be Herta, as Robin would be able to benefit both said characters, and you can advance action forward any one of these two in order to get access to their ultimates, in order to implant weaknesses or enable to get quicker access to a ultimate and enhanced skill. So that is another capable option. Finon is another option where you can run Robin with in order to provide slight increases to the overall damage capabilities. It's just throwing that out there, right? You can very well do that, or even honestly, if you have a main DPS style Asheville, you can do that as well. There isn't really necessarily, I would say, outside of DOT, where are you? DOT and like dot characters to where Robin doesn't provide a whole lot. And then Aglaia can very much well have a comeback with the introduction of Robin. I'm actually very interested in how that team is going to work. But skipping would definitely fall under the category, as I said, is if you have a well-built, established Mortonix Blade with his light cone. And if you have someone like E1 Tribby, light cone, don't have to really worry about that. You can just use DDD with Tribby. But the thing I want to say is that is a very specific circumstance. For the most part, for players who really care and who want to clear endgame a lot quicker, a lot easier, ease of use, you know, so on and so forth, I definitely recommend Robin, as I gave the example with the 3 separate teams, you had no overlap because you have 3 top tier supporting characters. If you have all 3 of these characters, in order to allow the teams to do maximum amount of total DPS damage, whether that be the main DPS, sub DPS, in conjunction of both, right? And then you also have your choice of another supporting style character or a sustain option. It allows just more ease of use with her introduction, and she just does so much freaking stuff for a specific team that you want to use. But that's also why she's so beneficial and valuable to an account, as it frees up team options and slots. As we progress further and further with HSR, I definitely think we will most likely get a scenario where we need a 4th team. I know a lot of people probably won't like that, but I definitely can actually see that happening in the future, somewhere around the 5.x patch stuff. Maybe that is halfway through the point, maybe that's near the end, but I could definitely foresee that happening near the middle or later half of 5.x. But yeah, that's gonna be all for me, guys, and I'll see you within the next video.